Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Pac-12 Chat Show live here on the Voice of College Football channel. I'm Tony, as always, here with Chris, Rick, and Tim, and we are excited for another big week. Guys, how's the week going?
Good. Exciting.
It is. We've got some wild adventures in Pac-12 legal world. So keep an eye out. Those of you guys that I'll put out some more stuff on Twitter this week about some of the wild things that just came out. The Pac-12 has responded, and Washington has responded with some beatdowns. So it'll be kind of interesting. But we'll spare our lawyers having to hear more about it and get on to some football because we're a little bit late today. I'm sorry, guys. I've been sick, so we postponed for today. And thanks everybody for joining us for, as Mike says, a little bit of Paction. All right, guys, week 10 is coming up. We got some good games this week. Starting with Utah and Arizona State. What is going to happen when the Sun Devils head up to the muss?
I need 1 second. Tim, can you go first on this real quick?
Sure, no problem. So very short with me. I don't know. Is Bourget going to be the quarterback? Either way, I don't care who they throw back there. Utah's defense at Rice Eccles. Give me the Utes.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a question. Utah is coming off that loss to Oregon. They have to bounce back at home, and they will against ASU. I think it will be close, but in the second half, Utah will pull away.
All right, sorry about that. I'm good now. Yeah, like you guys said. So, like, Arizona State finally got a win, right? They a big win for them to finally notch one after playing
big for them
decently than most people would have thought for a while, and Utah coming off the big loss or whatnot. I thought I don't have a lot of stats tonight, but the one I do have is Tim. I think if I'm remembering correctly, it's the thing that happened. You interviewed Phil Steele about SC over the offseason, right before the season started. Yeah, I remember watching that, and he put out a tweet today that I thought was interesting. I think it's a flawed stat, but it was top defenses in holding opponent offenses below their season average in other games, and number 2 is Utah, and number 12 in the country is Arizona State. So I think Arizona State, my defense might be doing a little bit more than we've really realized and might be actually pretty decent. And they're facing a Utah team whose offense has been known to struggle quite a bit often. So I think it'll be maybe not the prettiest game. I think it's going to be very ugly, but I do think Utah wins pretty easily overall at home.
That's what gave me pause, Chris, is because Arizona State's number 12 in the country when it comes to holding opposing teams rushing. Now that a metric could be the fact is that they're throwing, but this is at yards per play. So I mean, they have been stout when they want to be. You know what I mean? But the problem is their offense and turnovers. So we'll see what shows up for them this week.
Yeah, I look at it. Arizona State's playing a lot better. I think Arizona State will come out of this game looking better than people think, but I think you guys are right. Utah ends up rolling relatively solidly in the end. All right. Next up, Oregon and Cal. Guys, Oski looked good last week. Is there any chance Oski can go up and pull a shocker in Eugene?
Oh my gosh. So I need to give that game last week a little bit of a moment.
Your poor family.
Cal was -3 in turnovers in that game and still had a chance to win it with a 2-point conversion at the end, which, unfortunately for the Bears didn't work out. pulling off that kind of game this week in Autzen is a completely different story. And I think it's going to be over pretty quickly, and Oregon hums along like they have against a lot of schools outside of Seattle.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that the most points they've ever given up and lost a game, right? So, it's
hard to score 49 and lose.
Well, let's say they scored 50. They scored 50. They chose to go for the 2, right? So they got the 49. But I mean, it is hard to do that. But anything's possible with USC's defense. So, this one's I can't say it. The win the game. I'm not going to say they win because I'm getting tired of hearing from them.
Oregon is going to roll Cal. USC has made these pedestrian quarterbacks look like Vince Young. This guy Mendoza was running for first downs, running for touchdowns, passing the ball to some walk-on by the name of Trajan. I can't remember his last name, but he was number 87. Now I'm missing his last name. Somebody help me out. Somebody in the chat help me out. This kid was like all world. Jaden Ott, 3 first half touchdowns. For whatever reason, when USC plays like a Cal, an Arizona, an ASU, a Utah, that is not the true measure of the team. And Cal is going to go to Autzen, and they're just going to take business. They're going to take care of their business on Cal. I see them winning by 24 points.
Yeah, I think they'll win by even more. Oh, wait, everybody went, right? Sorry, I have a little bit of a lag. Yeah, I think they're going to win by even more. We keep, like you said, we keep making these quarterbacks look really good. Fernando Mendoza seems like a really great guy. He may have a long career in the NFL, maybe as like an orthopedic surgeon, but I don't think he's going to stand much time up with Bo Nix. So he may be the best orthopedic surgeon that the NFL has coming, but Bo Nix is going to run all over that team. If we put up 50, they're going to put up 80. So
Tron Grizel. The wide receiver was Tron Grizel.
Ducks, I'm giving you an O for this one. All right. We ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
USC and UW in the game of the week from the Coliseum. It's on ABC primetime, guys. The whole country is going to be watching in this battle of teams where nobody knows what on earth is going to happen on defense. What are we going to see in LA?
So I think this is one of a few games that has a home dog in it, but I don't think I'm taking the dog in any of them. So after that big win at home against Oregon, Washington's kind of slept walk against Arizona State and Stanford. There's like talk of some illness and some flu. I don't know enough to know what's true and what's not, or what's going on. So maybe they are sick, maybe they're not. I don't know, but they haven't looked as good as they were maybe like the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, the last couple of weeks. But that doesn't mean they can't get back up and start looking like they did before. USC can obviously move the ball, and they should be able to here also. The Washington rush defense can be suspect at times, but like overall, like in big moments on 4th downs and in the red zone, they've come up with stops when they've needed them. So they're like pretty good on that in high leverage situations, but SC should be more than capable of moving the ball. So some of you have heard me say this again or before, but I'm gonna say it again. I thought I picked Cal to win, obviously, but I think the funniest thing about that game and SC almost losing to Cal is that they're going to turn around this week and beat the Dogs at home, and SC takes it in a shootout, and it seriously might be like 65-62 or something.
Hey, Chris, my internet just cut out. What did you say?
It is not
said-
outside the realm of possibility.
I said I'm not taking the dogs.
I think this is the first time all year you picked USC.
I don't think that's true. I picked you. Well, I picked you in all the games that no one cared about, so maybe you forgot them.
I'm just kidding.
Did I pick you? I think I picked you against Notre. Did I pick you against Notre Dame? I can't remember. Anyway,
I don't think you did. That's okay.
So I think that USC in this game.
Oh, I picked you against Utah. I'm sorry. All right, I don't know how to get that off my chest. I picked Notre Dame, and then I picked Utah, and then I picked Cal.
So I'm thinking in this game, USC is going to follow the format that's been kind of laid out for them by the other teams. But the problem is, I don't think that Alex Grinch knows how to play cover 2 or any kind of a shell. So I'm wondering if they even have the concepts there. If they leave these corners and playing the same scheme they've done, we're going to have Odunze and Polk just absolutely torch us. There's question mark now. First, McMillan was out. Now he might be playing. Now he's full go. But it might be another situation where it's just some gamesmanship. And he came in, he played like one series and then had to leave last time. USC is going to have to put together something they haven't done all year, and that's 4 straight quarters of good ball. They haven't played 4 quarters the entire year. They've been inconsistent, and an inconsistent defense is a bad defense. Against the number 2, yards per play offense in the country, a team that has, NFL talent on the outsides that can get yards in chunks. USC is one of the worst teams in the country in giving up chunk yardage and explosive plays. Everything's going to tell you that USC is going to lose this game. However, it's at home, and Washington has struggled on the road. I think USC has in front of it. If they definitely have the players to do it. They got like Eric Gentry, and they do. I think it was on the Keely her thing with what's his name?
Cody Kessler.
Cody Kessler, and they do there's offense was. So it was Cody Kessler. Oh, it was Kessler. Kessler was talking about the cloud coverage, and he didn't bring it up. But could you imagine having cloud coverage when you on the front side you have Eric Gentry there, and on the back side you have Kalen Bullock? If they come out creative and they figure out a way to absolutely keep everything in front of them, let Bullock get like 1 or 2 picks somewhere in there, and have Bear Alexander up the middle. On our show the other day, we had a guest come on from Husky Wire, and he said their guards are very susceptible, and the center is questionable. And if you have Bear Alexander, he doesn't need to get home. All he needs to do is be disruptive, collapse that pocket, let Muhammad from the outside and Burr from the outside come and eat from the outside, and just make him really uncomfortable. I think that combination of Bear, I'll just straight up the middle, Bear Alexander, Eric Gentry, and Kalen Bullock, I think that's a winning combination. And if they can generate a couple turnovers, make him impatient, please do some kind of cover 2, some kind of cover shell scheme somewhere. Because if they do, and they keep everything in front of them, they don't get explosives, USC wins. However, if they're stubborn, they do the same defense they've been doing all year, USC will lose. But I think USC wins this game.
Yeah, I want to see Lincoln Riley with some good play calling offensively. USC ran the ball against Cal, and they kept on running the ball in the second half. And we saw what Marshawn Lloyd and Austin Jones did. They combined for over 150 yards. And USC is going to have to rush for over 150 yards, excluding Caleb's runs, to win this game. That's going to be part of the equation. They're going to have to win the turnover battle as well. Penix and Caleb Williams are going to go at it. That's no doubt about it. I'm a little bit concerned about USC secondary. They're dinged up. Max Williams dinged up. And we saw Zion Branch go down, safety, last game against Cal. In my impression, it was an ACL. They came out saying he's gone for the rest of the season. I don't think they disclosed exactly what the injury is, but it's a lower leg injury. And so you're going to have to see other players like a Christian Pierce step up. I love Bryson Shaw. Bryson Shaw can hit, but he can't cover. And Penix and DeBoer are going to go all after Bryson Shaw. It's going to be a card game. And Alex Grinch is going to have to rotate players, and we're going to see, we're going to see what's going to happen with the defense, and they got to limit the chunk plays. And like Jalen Smith got burned. These guys are getting burned. They can't get their hips turned around, and they don't high point the ball. They don't see the ball, and they're a step slow. I mean, we saw a couple of consecutive PIs. I mean, so they got to stick with the game. It's 4 quarters. You got to win the turnover game, and you got to run the ball. You got to manage the clock, time of possession. You got to lead. You got to minimize the time that Penix and Washington's going to have the ball, and you've got to pressure Penix. You have to bring the pass rush to help out your secondary and get Michael Penix off platform and rushing his throws. It's going to be a close game. I have it with the Coliseum crowd, and I predict USC is going to win the turnover margin. I have them winning 41-31. Trojans.
I like it. So I've been torn on this one because I've seen all the folks. I mean, I watched Bear today talk at length about how he thinks USC is going to be able to pull it off. A lot of folks really think that USC can win this. I just think it's the worst USC defense I've ever seen. There's a lot of excuses on why they're almost good, but I think they're bad. And I'm going to be cheering as loud as I can for USC to pull it off. USC can win this game. USC absolutely has the talent to win this game. I don't think they have the defensive coaching to win this game. And as much as I want USC to win this game, I fear that it's going to be a Washington win. But it drives me nuts because USC should win this game. But we haven't seen USC play defense for a full game since Stanford. I mean, literally, it's been since week 2 that USC played a full game of defense. So I just don't know if they're going to start this time. So it pains me to say that the Dogs are going to beat us, but if I had to bet money, I think that they would. Fight on. I hope we win. All right. Next up to bat. An interesting game here, guys. Another one I'm not sure on. We've got Stanford, who's not been looking horrid. They looked great against UW. What's going to happen with Stanford and Washington State going up to the Palouse?
So Washington State, had started 4-0 and was 13th in the country or something like that. And then I don't know, UCLA broke them because whatever we did and put on tape for people, they haven't been the same team since. And they're on a 4-game skid and 4-4, which is not what they were thinking when they were 4-0. But Stanford is really bad. And so I think Washington State bounces back at home, but I also think it's crazy given where they were after week 4 or whatnot, that they'll need to win one of at Cal, home versus Colorado, or at Washington after they win this game just to make a bowl game.
It's interesting what Troy Taylor's doing, in year 1, and you can see it, just like you'd see with a coordinator. You got a new head coach coming in, instilling his own schemes and his own ball and his own culture. But you are seeing this program, they don't have much, but what they do have, they are playing tough. They played Washington down to the wire, whether they're sick or not. That a guy catches the ball on that halfback toss, guy was wide open. They're driving for the game-winning field goal at that point. Do I think that they're world beaters? No, but I think that they can play, and the improvement is clear to anybody that's watching the games. What they did, the fight they had to come back. I know Colorado's bad, but the way they just turned that game with the adjustments they made and came at them was pretty amazing. So with all that said, though, it's at Martin Stadium. I do think, pretty much for similar reasons that Chris just said, I just think that they're going to be able to throw the ball at home with a hostile crowd. I don't know how they're going to handle the crowd. Martin Stadium, guys, everyone talks about Autzen. Everybody talks about Rice Eccles. Martin Stadium is a pretty tough place to play and on the road. So I'm going to say that Washington State, although Stanford is getting better, Washington State ekes this one out.
it's going to be potentially be a chilly night in the Palouse. The kickoff's at 6 o'clock Pacific. Stanford has improved. They're making steps under Coach Taylor, and but the quarterback play is in favor of Washington State, and they're at home. And this is a get-right game for Cameron Ward and that Washington State defense. Yes, they need to make a bowl. They're right there. This win and another, and they'll be bowl eligible. Let's remember this team beat Wisconsin, so they're one of the teams in the Big Ten. I think there was a commentator out there this week, I think it was Bob Thompson, former Fox executive, that is saying that the Pac-12 wasn't as good as people thought it was earlier in the year. Don't believe the lazy narrative. These teams didn't not win the out-of-conference games. That doesn't go away. So Washington State's still a good team. Pac-12 is deep, as we'll get into a little bit later. So this is a win for the Cougs.
I think you guys have nailed it on this one. Tim, I think you're especially right on it. Stanford is getting better, but I think Washington State's too good. I think Cameron Ward sticks it to them. And we get a good win for Wazoo in the Palouse, so they can hopefully turn some things around. So, but I think it'll be a good game. It'll be a fun one on the Pac-12 network. All right, we got a bunch of night games this week. All right, next night game on ESPN. We've got the Beavs and the Buffs. Guys, can the Fighting Deons take it on to the Beavers?
Yeah, so Oregon State, that was a rough loss to a good Arizona team on the road. But I want to take a second before we talk about this game to ask anyone if they have any idea what Jonathan Smith was thinking, or who hit him in the back of the head with a 2x4 in the first quarter that gave him the concussion, that thought it was a good idea to run that fake field goal from the 25-yard line with 2 seconds left in the half. No, it's crazy because they tried to run it. I don't know how closely you guys watched that game, but they tried to run it earlier and got called for a penalty or whatnot, so it got stopped. They saw something on film that they just absolutely loved, and instead of just waiting for the right time to run it, they did it at the end of the half there because it worked too. The guy got 10 yards.
He would have gotten a first down, but they needed a touchdown.
But the time of running that just made absolutely zero sense. Sorry, Beef fans, but I just had to get that off my chest. I think everyone knows it. So yeah, Arizona's good. I don't think Colorado is, despite what they did to start off the season like a firecracker. They definitely have some deficiencies that a lot of teams have been able to exploit. And I think even when they were 3-0, I thought the teams like Utah and Oregon State would match up best with them because they just dominate them on the lines. And I think this offensive line at Oregon State is going to have an absolute field day against Colorado. I do think that the Oregon State defense is okay. It's not like it was last year. It's very different. I think it's susceptible to giving up big plays. I think that Colorado definitely has the playmakers, and a quarterback, while running for his life, is still able to make some plays. So I do think that Colorado will score some points and move the ball, but I think that the Beavers end up controlling this game and imposing their will and beating the Buffs at Folsom.
Yeah, the one thing that, don't ask USC fans, but the one thing that Colorado can't do is defend the run, and it's what Oregon State is really good at, and with Martinez, they have a great running back. So it's a game of attrition, like you hear me say all the time. Colorado was steady to begin with. You get to this part of the season, they're playing hurt. Guys are playing banged up. Now, if they are out there, they're not playing at 100%. When you're not 100%, you can't give your 100%. So give me Oregon State. They're winning this one easily.
Yeah, I think, Chris, you pointed out last week that in the state of California, UCLA's had the most attendance with their homecoming crowd against Colorado last week. Congratulations. A lot of teams have claimed of getting robbed by the officials. Colorado actually got robbed by some overzealous UCLA fans who found their way in the locker room and got some good swag. They got some good jewelry, some watches, and cleaned out Colorado, and so much so that Deion Sanders called out the NCAA. Kind of, why don't you step in and do something, NCAA? I don't know what's come of it, but congratulations.
I think they're all in Ann Arbor this week.
Yeah.
Talk to the Rose Bowl. We don't know anything. No comment. Fifth Amendment. We're just tenants. We're, if a crime happens at the building, you need to talk to the property owner. You don't need to talk to me.
Maybe they couldn't afford the security bill. I don't know what it is, but I thought that was kind of so Pac-12. But this is going to be a difficult game for Colorado because Oregon State is a physical team, and they've got that offensive line that is going to work over Colorado. Yes, this game's at Colorado, but congratulations to UCLA. They just mauled Shedeur Sanders. He is beat up, and he is taking a beating this whole season. And I don't see Oregon State, their defense, having a problem with Colorado. They're going to wear them down. And Colorado and Oregon State has a running game that is going to take it to Colorado, and they're going to just methodically wear them out, wear them down, and they'll win by 2 touchdowns. Go Beavs.
I think you guys are right. I think Colorado can't stop the run, and Oregon State knows how to run the ball.
Yeah.
I think Oregon State's going to just own these lines of scrimmage, and Oregon State is going to stick it to Deion. I also think that, Oregon State fans are very plugged into what went down with the Pac. And I think that school is going to be fired up to stick it to Colorado. So I'm taking Jonathan Smith all day on this one. So go Beavs.
And Jonathan Smith, no fake field goals.
No fake field goals. Just run the ball. Run the ball at Colorado. You'll get just run the dive. You'll get a touchdown. All right. And we've got another night game here on FS1. UCLA making one last trip to the desert. Guys, we know this is going to be one heck of a basketball game, but I think it's going to be a pretty good football game too. What do you guys think?
So UCLA was -4 in the turnover margin against Colorado, and still ended up, after only being up 7-6 at half, winning pretty comfortably. Because as Rick mentioned, that defensive front of ours was in the backfield literally anytime Colorado had the ball. It was nuts. But this UT, as good as the defense is, this is obviously a flawed, top 20 team in UCLA, but flawed on the road against which people should now understand is probably a pretty good Arizona team. Probably somewhere around 30th to 40th in the country is what I would guess, but very good, very totally capable, no easy task. I think it's only a 3-point spread. I think they're probably feeling, if I was an Arizona fan, I don't know if it's a good argument, but I'd be why we should be receiving more votes in the AP poll. People should think about ranking us, because we only lost to Washington by 7. We only lost to USC by 2. We dominated Washington State and absolutely took the shine off of that team, and put the last nail in the coffin basically of Washington State, thinking that it was a really good team, and then beat a number 11 Oregon State. Arizona has been playing well. The UCLA defense is still, by the way, only given up more than one offensive touchdown in a game one time this year. The only time was to Oregon State. But I think the issue here for UCLA is that Arizona is probably the most similar offense to Oregon State that we played. Not necessarily like schematically detail-wise, but in the fact that they're balanced. Because a lot of the offenses that we've played against this year, like in conference especially, I think do one thing really well and one thing not as well, except for Oregon State, who was able to move the ball on us a lot better than everybody else because they can do a little bit of both. It's Pac-12 after dark in the desert, but I don't think Arizona can keep getting away with this. So even though the offense puzzles at times, I think the defense takes care of business, and I can't pick against this defense. I don't think is what it comes down to for me. I just kind of trust that they'll get it done. It might not necessarily look good, but if we can get out of Tucson with any kind of W, I will take it, and I will take number runs.
So just like Troy Taylor, I think Fafita is getting his Stanford squad every game getting better and better and better. Every snap it seems like Fafita's he's getting better, more confidence. He played with McMillan at Servite. He's playing within the system, and we know that Jed Fish can call a hell of a game. No doubt that UCLA defense is stout and amazing, and they're going to test them. But in this game, I think the fact that I just don't think UCLA is going to score enough. I mean, I know that UCLA is going to keep Arizona down, but I just have no confidence at all in UCLA's offense. So I'll take Arizona at home in a close one.
Yeah, Arizona is a team that has grown up in front of our eyes. Jed Fish is doing an amazing job. They lost a heartbreaker down in Starkville to Mississippi State. That was a close loss in overtime, 31-24, I believe it was. And then they lost a close one to University of Washington. And they lost in triple overtime by 2 to USC. And then they knock off the number 11 Oregon State Beavers. They turned the corner. So they had some tough losses, but they grew as a team. And Fafita is growing as a quarterback. He's got the chemistry now with the offense. He's got the belief. He's got great wide receivers. Jed Fish is calling some great games. And yes, UCLA does have a good defense. And their offense, they do struggle. And this game is going to be based on turnovers. I believe Arizona is going to cause turnovers and get some short fields and score on UCLA. And like Tim said, I don't think UCLA's got enough offensive firepower. Bad things happen in the desert. And not only is Arizona going to win this game, but they're going to win their next 3 games after this. They're going to go to Colorado. They're going to spank Colorado. They're going to host Utah, and they're going to put a whooping on Utah. And then they go to ASU. So mark it. Arizona's going to finish 9-3 after they beat UCLA. They're going to roll the last 3 after this one.
That'd be pretty awesome. Guys, I've been torn on this one too, because this is really one of those late night desert games where anything can happen. I was leaning towards Arizona, and I thought about UCLA last year, and I thought, well, UCLA is going to be fired up to sort of revenge after last year with their Pac-12 After Dark loss. But Arizona's just got something clicking. And UCLA's offense is good, but they're not great. So, although I think UCLA is a better team, I think UCLA should win. I'm going to say back the A. Bear down. I think Arizona finds a way to make this one happen. Again, if I wouldn't be surprised to see UCLA win. I think UCLA is the better team, but I think Arizona finds a way to make that magic happen one more time. All right. Well, those are the games. Shall we take a look at some power ranks? We got some changes this week, gang. All right, and let's dig in. So at the bottom of the pack, we've got ASU and Stanford, except Tim, you believe in the Devils.
I'm just looking at the bottom of this table, and I like ASU's defense. They got a solid defense, but I mean, it doesn't mean they're going to win games. But again, the metric I'm using is on a neutral field. Who's going to win the game?
I hear the argument for having them ahead of Colorado, but I'm interested to see who else you think that they're better than on a neutral field right now.
Let's take a look.
Let's find out.
Are we ready? Here we go. Next up to bat, Colorado, who Tim has at the bottom. We've got him above ASU and Stanford. All right, there's Colorado. And following Colorado, Wazoo and Cal. And then that locks in. Everyone has those 5 as the bottom 5.
I don't know.
Any surprises
Washington
here?
State 10? That low? You have Washington State that low? Tim?
Chris has them at 9. That's not that low. The reason why I have them at 9, again, I'm talking about the way they play up and down. They've had some stinkers and clunkers. That's exactly where I put them. You know, I'm not saying you're as good as your last game, but when you start sputtering the way they have, it just doesn't. It just I'm going off of right now. Because remember, there's undisclosed injuries. There's a lot going on with this team. There's just something just not quite right with. I wouldn't have picked Washington State unless it was at home. That's the only reason I'm giving the nod over Stanford, which I have basically right below them. But yeah, I'm not overly impressed with Washington State.
So ASU sputtered less than Washington State? ASU sputtered less than Washington State?
Rick, I said I like their defense better than the rest of the group there. They definitely have the best defense as a group.
All right. For number 7, who have we got here? We've got Arizona. And, hey, I mean, I just picked them. Tim, you're giving them love. I like it. Tim is officially the new governor of Arizona as of tonight.
Yeah, so I was going to jump in real quick. Yeah, as I said before the show to when we were talking, but let everyone else in on this, is I think you can have 3 through 7 probably in a lot of orders. And I've seen people that I enjoy listening to have Arizona as high as 3. Yeah, I mean, I think you can make a solid argument to have Arizona anywhere 3 through 7. So sorry for cutting you off, Tim, but I'll let you make it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of room in the middle of this pack that you could almost flip coins. I told you guys before. Some of these things I just threw a dart at a dartboard. The way these guys play, and they've played, but I see momentum. I see Wazoo fading to the finish, and I see as each game goes on, I see Arizona and Jed Fish with that offense playing better and better and clicking better and better. And the defense is buying in, and they are getting stops and they're getting wins. I'm seeing teams toward the top that I have here. I believe momentum's huge in college football, especially, and I think that they're doing very well.
All right. Next up, USC and UCLA. We've got USC's at 6 across the board. We got UCLA all over. I am uncomfortable having the Bruins as high as I do, but that's the way it goes. And Tim's got our Trojans up there. Like you guys said, 3 to 7 could be anybody's ball game.
USC doesn't play
especially
defense.
when it's after dark.
USC doesn't play defense. That's why I have a number 6.
Me too. In fact, quite honestly, I worry if 6 is too high.
Yeah.
USC is a reigning Heisman Trophy winner. USC is the number 3 offense in the country as well.
Yeah, I realize that, but
and the 197,000th ranked defense.
And an offensive line.
They're bad.
Offensive line is questionable. And,
I think they fixed a lot of their issues on the offensive line, kicking Kingston out to tackle. We'll find out this weekend.
We'll find out. It'll be. I hope they do.
USC's offense is better when they run the ball. Let's see if they choose to run the ball this week. They're very inconsistent doing that.
It is kind of funny that they're second place in the Pac-12, and if they win a game that they're a 3-point underdog in, that they're first in the Pac-12, and I have them 6th. But I mean, they are in the thick of it, and I do think that there's certain games where I think the probability is low. but it is fair to say that, like, yeah, we have Caleb Williams and we might just outscore everyone because you did it last year with a worse defense than you have this year. It's the problem is that you didn't have Oregon and Washington on your schedule last year, and the rest of the conference is better than it was last year.
Well, and we had a multi-year starter at center and an All-American left guard that we don't have this year. I mean, our offensive line was a lot better than we have right now.
Well, and the other thing we had, Chris, were just wonderful luck of the draw, skill, whatever you want to call it, 1 million turnovers.
That's right.
That was a beautiful thing, but it certainly covered a lot of holes that were definitely there, as we now know. All right. We've got Utah. Chris and Rick remain high on the Utes. Tim's got him down at 7. Guys, what have we got? We got our pig farming shelf stalker from Lowe's, who's looking like not a bad quarterback, but we mostly think they're going to pretty much roll this week. Any quick takes on the Utes before we move on?
They're a slightly worse Bruin team. There you go. They're just a little. They're just a slightly not as good Bruin team. Yeah.
I actually do agree with that in the sense that, like, looking at it now, I think you can argue that UCLA should be above Utah, and I think it's like a fair argument. But I would have a harder time putting them above SC above them, like you have it, only because of what we saw a couple of weeks ago in the Coliseum
at home.
At home, but we lost on a last-second field goal. I mean, yeah, you're right. The defense is a sieve. But again, play that game 10 times, Chris. How do you think that thing turns out?
I don't know.
I mean, Utah has dominated USC. It's defense. Speaking of defense, they have a defense, even with a pig farmer, and they roll into the Coliseum. That was a game that was a revenge game, and USC couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't win the game. That's 3 in a row. To Kyle, with Lincoln Riley.
Isn't it 4 in a row? Oh, 3 in a row with
Lincoln. 4 in a row, but with Lincoln Riley, 3. And Lincoln Riley's lost 5 games at USC, and 60% of them are to Kyle Whittingham. And he just showed that, hey, I can beat USC in the Coliseum without Cam Rising. And, yeah. So,
last year has no bearing on this year whatsoever. Both sides of the ball are completely different. Utes are totally different. Trojans are totally different teams. In this game, again, the beginning of we talked about is if these 2 teams on a neutral field play, what's the score be? Let's face it, the Coliseum is pretty much a neutral field with our audience, with our crowd. So I mean, they're cheering when we have the ball, and they're on their hands when we're on defense. So I mean, it's not like an opposing place to play.
I agree with what you're saying, your mentality. I just don't see Utah being ranked 4 spots below USC. I just don't.
Okay.
Good one. All right. Next up, Oregon State. Another team. Not sure what to do with them. If Jonathan Smith doesn't run the dumbest fake field goal in history, they'd won another one.
I just don't know that loss to Arizona on the road is really that bad.
It's not a bad loss.
We think Arizona's good. I just picked him to beat UCLA.
Yeah, it's less of an indictment on Oregon State, and as much as I think that Arizona's hot right now. That's just really what it's for me.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tim. All right, and then number 1 and number 2, Oregon and Washington. Chris and Tim think the Ducks have a good shot in a rematch. Rick and I still have the Dogs. I don't know what's going to happen. It's very possible the Dogs go down this weekend. We'll see.
Or Oregon lost.
I don't think it's possible Oregon goes down this weekend.
Oregon lost in Seattle on a missed field goal. And I think that they're a far more much complete team. God, this kills me. Oh God, wait, hold on. Okay,
I hear you.
They are the most complete team in the Pac-12. And on a neutral field, I'm very confident that Oregon wins this game. And you know what? It might even be because playing at Montlake at that now we're talking about a real home field advantage. And that game, whether it's either way, it's not a 3-point advantage to me. It's much more than that. And Oregon almost went in there to Husky Stadium and pulled that off. They kick a field goal. So
Tony and Rick, you'll learn. It might take 2 more weeks, but
Oh shit.
What is that?
He's talking about we're going up to Autzen in 2 weeks, and
Sorry, my
then
computer cut out. Oh.
we'll hear the whole fury of Oregon. And I'm unfortunately, Chris, I think you might be. So yeah.
Yeah, but you already have them won, so you already understand. I'm just saying it might take a couple weeks for Rick and Tony to get on board.
Chris, I'm just being a homer because USC is playing Washington this week. That's why I
We'll
have
see.
You got to prop
It'll be
them up so
interesting.
you can move up higher this week.
That's
No,
right.
I get that. I get that.
That's right. I've been watching you for the past 2 years. I know how this game's played. Come on, man.
All right. Well, on that note, guys, we got a couple callers here.
It's honestly
we got a bit of a
flip.
late show. It is. It's going to be a good one. We got a late show here, so we don't have a lot of time for callers, but we'd love to have a couple. If you guys want to call in, we'll make room for you. We'll go forever, but we'll ask a couple questions. All right. Starting off, we got Will ND. Will ND, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, Will?
What do you think about the Pac-12 this week?
Man, I didn't know about that Arizona UCLA game. So we have 2 games I'm definitely going to be watching: the Dubs and the Trojans, and then the Cats and the Bruins.
It's a late night one for UCLA. Is that UCLA's last late night one? Maybe. It could be your last Pac-12 after dark.
Oh man,
I don't know what time your other games are.
Since we didn't cover it, but we have the guest on from the honorary school that we used to pick games for every once in a while.
Sorry, we didn't have that one tonight.
I'd like to quickly know Will's opinion on facing off pissed off Dabo and
Tyler from Spartanburg.
Right, exactly, and his recent calls, he sounds pretty fired up to get after it with the Irish. So what's going to happen? Well,
so I was just on the Clemson show about an hour ago, and they are down in the dumps, man. They're like, "Will, you're going to blow us out," and that kind of scares me a bit because, like Austin told me that we were going to blow them out at Louisville, and look what happened there. But I'm hearing they have some injuries to their defensive line. And if you're going up against like Audric Estime and Jeremiah Love, that's just going to be a bad time for the Tigers. So I think we'll win. I think it'll be a bit of an ugly game. Probably 1st to 24 wins. I believe it said 27-13 their game. And yeah, I just think that we're going to get after Klubnik a lot. And he turns the ball over a good amount. So I think we should win pretty comfortably.
I think you're right. Any other big takes for this week?
Any other big takes for this week? Do you guys think that the Buffs can attack the Beavs? I mean, I know that
I think they can score on them. I don't think they can win.
Like,
I don't think they can win, but they can definitely make plays, and they can definitely score.
Yeah, it'll be tough for them to keep up, but
it'll be an interesting one.
Could be an interesting one as well.
Well, good luck to your Irish.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for calling.
Hey, good stuff, Will.
We'll talk to you soon. All right, next up, we've got Jackson Johnson. Jackson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on, gents. How's it going tonight?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Couple
questions I got. Well, I got one question. This involves Washington State. Do you think that they are basically the Syracuse of the Pac-12 this year?
I don't know what that means.
Well, what that means is they quit and blew up after one game. Whereas, like, what I mean is Syracuse forgot how to play football after they played Clemson. They haven't won a game since. Washington State, after they played UCLA and got shut down by them, they haven't won a game since.
I don't think they quit. I think they had a lot of guys hurt for a few of those weeks, and some of them are back. And I do think that there's something to the idea that UCLA, like what UCLA did defensively, maybe helped some people game plan in future weeks. But I don't think that Washington State quit or that they have like kind of like given up on this season or whatnot. I think they hit a really rough patch injury wise and then schedule wise, and then caught Arizona State at a really bad time in a game where like Tim was gonna pick Arizona State. I did pick Arizona State. Like Tim just didn't. For the only reason he didn't is because I did. So it's not like people were like shocked by that game. I don't think. I think it's just been like a crummy situation sort of for the Cougs. I don't think it's like a quit thing or just we're like bad. But there are things that people found out about them.
Yeah, that's the
That
big
makes
thing.
sense.
I think they're out scheming because Cam Ward obviously has arm talent, but they weren't overpowering people with their players. It was more just their scheme and the way they're moving the ball, the way Cam was dealing it. I think people did find a way, and that's some of the magic has come off the team.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, I do kind of wonder if the USC Washington game will be a really high scoring game. I mean, this really has a 49-45 score written all over it, honestly.
It should be an interesting one. We'll
For
see.
sure. I mean, Caleb Williams and Michael Penix, two of the best quarterbacks in all of college football on Saturday night. That's going to be awesome.
It'll be a showdown.
I'll be making sure to flip between that game and Alabama LSU. Who am I kidding? I'll be watching Alabama LSU on my computer.
you better be watching your Tide.
I saw something, and I want to ask you, Jackson, if you agree with this. I saw JD Pickell. Jackson, I got a question for you. I saw JD Pickell said if LSU beats Alabama, that Jaden Daniels should win the Heisman Trophy. Do you agree with that statement?
He's got to win more games than Bama.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was
All
like, you gotta be ridiculous.
All right, as a Pac-12 show, I'm making executive decision that we are not going to talk about Daniels winning the Heisman because we saw him for way too many years.
He was a Pac-12 reject, so I'm doing that association.
Is his mother still running the locker room? Like
Not
she
sure.
was in Arizona.
Yeah, but that's some of the craziness that you hear. Different stories, but that's gonna be a great game. It
will be. Anything else before we bring Mikey G on to talk about the Ducks?
That's about all. It's set to say that I'm also looking forward to UCLA Arizona. Great game on Pac-12 After Dark.
That's gonna be good.
It's gonna be a good one on FS1. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, I can't wait to see that one.
Roll Tide.
Thanks for having me.
Roll Tide. Good luck.
Fight on and roll Tide. Fight on and roll Tide. And y'all have a good night. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for calling.
See you, Jackson.
Go Trash Pandas.
I like it. Go Trash Pandas. All right, boys. We got to talk the Ducks. We got Mikey G here. Mikey G, welcome to the show.
What's going on, fellas? How you doing?
What's up, Mikey G?
Yeah, I love that talk about Jaden Daniels.
Oski and the Golden Bears?
Well, it's funny, right? Because a game like this would make me nervous, but I really like what Dan has got going on. Because if you look at last year, right, that was the first time in a long time that I can remember that you have the level of play or the consistency week in and week out. Like these trap games weren't necessarily trap games last year. And by and large, I mean, with the exception of the Beavs and the Civil War, we let that one go. And that was an absolute lapse in, you know, both leadership and you know, these boys, they just basically, you know, thought they had it in hand and let off the throttle, and that's exactly what you cannot do, especially when you're in Corvallis. And so, with that exception, and if you look at this year, he has them playing at a high level at just about, you know, like I said, every week. And so I like going into this week and feeling confident about it. That's as a Duck fan, we're not used to this. We're not used to just going into a Cal game and being all right. We're not used to going into it's so new and foreign. It feels uncomfortable, right? So, but it does feel good. I'll be at the game. It's going to be awesome. And you know, I was listening to it was one of the ESPN recaps. It was probably the final scoreboard or whatever it was, and it was a discussion about Kirby and some of the comments that he was making about, you know, essentially, you know, all of the kind of hyperbole and everything that's going on around Georgia, and they're finally kind of elevating their game later in the season, as you would expect a championship team to do. But Kirby's the type of person to recognize how important momentum and consistency are in this sport. And I think that Dan has really kind of dialed that in, and that's what I love the most about this, is that you go into this game. Fortunately, it's at home, but you can't not help feel really good about it. Now, if we can shut down Ott, you know, that's one of the things that does have me concerned a little bit. And you might think I'm crazy for thinking that, because the way our D line is playing, it shouldn't really be a factor.
Do you guys tackle? Is that a thing in Oregon?
Well, okay. I mean, you guys know. I mean, if you looked at,
I'm teasing.
No. I mean, it's a legit thing, because like early last season, we had the woes that you guys are facing this year. We could not tackle to save our lives, and it really kind of plagued us the rest of the year.
You still tackled better than we do.
Yeah. Well,
I remember that UCLA Oregon game last year where Dan Lanning just completely outcoached Chip Kelly in terms of like game management with the onside kick and certain other things. But like that game was crazy because like neither team could stop the other one. It was just like touchdown. You know, like we ended up kicking a couple field goals and not getting the onside kick. But I feel like I don't remember anyone punting in that game. So like, yeah, I think your defense is a lot better this year, because even though our offense is obviously down this year from what it was last year, but I think even our offense from last year against your defense this year isn't going to be able to move the ball as well as it did in that game last year. I think you're definitely right. And so the only other question I have for you is, because you've
Was it just me that lost Chris, or?
No, I
think we lost him. I think he'll be back in a sec.
Okay.
I think we've all got some weird internet things tonight.
Yeah, I guess to kind of to pick up what Chris was saying there.
Any other games catch your eye this week?
Yeah, obviously, you know, the game in the Coliseum this week is huge. I posted in the chat. I'm actually pulling for y'all. not just because it suits our self-interest, because you know that kind of basically bumps you guys up and brings UW down a little bit, which you always, as a Duck fan, you always look for that. But it helps our resume, right? Like if we can play you guys next week with a higher ranking, that suits our interest. But really, it's more to do with, it's in the Collie. You guys have a good defensive line. If you can put pressure on Penix, like that was really what kept us in the ball game. If you remember that game, Penix was on his back quite a bit. And, you know, that is all due to, you know, you got a Jordan Birch on that defensive line, Popo's back, Brandon Dorless on the other end, Casey Rogers, all those dudes. And then they're doing these, you know, these cornerback blitzes and safety blitzes that, you know, got a guy like Evan Williams coming in and just absolutely destroying Penix. And so I think if you guys can actually put pressure on them, I like your chances. Like the fact that, you know, UW's been kind of down these past few weeks. I'm fully on board with the possibility.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
It should be a good one. Well, thank
But
you
yeah,
very
I mean-
much. We're glad. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it. You know, I'm really excited for the Pac-12, right? Like we're playing some elevated ball finally, and it just sucks that it's you know, there was a part of me that was expecting the Pac-12 to Pac-12 this thing, right? Like the fact that we
True.
have true leaders at the top, and you guys have done a really good job with your boards and everything. Even though Tony and Tim, you'll be on board, like Chris was saying earlier. When you guys come to Eugene next week, I would be really shocked if your boards end up the same as they were this week. I'll just put it that way.
Hey,
Mikey, hold on. Hey, Mikey, I had you guys number one.
No,
And
Tim, sorry. No, I'm saying Rick and Tony. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see it coming. Oh, I see it coming.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for that one too, man.
You guys have a great team, and I predicted at the beginning of the year that USC was going to go 11-1, and that was the game that USC was going to lose at Autzen.
I remember that, Rick. Yep.
Yeah, and now I just hope that USC keeps it within 21 points. I just don't see us beating your team this year. It's just it's going to be ugly.
Well, like I said, you know, back when you made that prediction, as I've said tonight, having this consistency and this level of play is so refreshing, and it's so encouraging. But I don't walk into any USC game, even when you guys were during the Clay Helton years. I never walked into those games thinking it was a sure thing. And so, you know, as much as people are dogging on Caleb, I know that he's got that bum hand or something going on there. He's still the reigning Heisman guy. And so you can't just, you know, it's not a respect thing. It's just a thing. Yeah, I mean, he's coming in and he wants to win that game, and especially if you guys win this week. So, you know, it's gonna be hyped. I'm eager to see that one too. I'd really like to see Caleb play in person, and I'm looking forward to that. So,
It'll be a good game.
It'll be a fun one. Hey, well, give us the buzz next week with your preview. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, boys. Keep doing your thing with this show. Like I said in the last one, man. I don't think there's anything out there like this, and you guys have just been knocking it out of the park every week, and I really enjoy it.
Oh, thanks. We try to have some fun, and hey, you know, and to everybody out there from all the different fan bases, we love hanging out with you guys. We love chatting with you guys. We love talking smack with you guys. It's a fun thing with 12 great schools. So
yeah, for sure.
Glad to have
you.
All
right, guys.
Hey, sorry, really quick.
Right on, Mikey, go Doc.
Thanks, Mikey G.
Mikey, before you go,
Mikey,
really
hold on a
quick.
second.
Sorry, one second. I had one question for you. I apologize. I don't know when I cut out, but you were saying a lot of good things about Dan Lanning, and I just wanted to know how good you think you would be if you got the coach you actually wanted in Justin Wilcox.
Zing!
Yeah, there it is.
True.
There it is.
There it is.
I don't even know how true that was, really.
No, exactly.
It was true.
Yeah,
They offered it.
I don't know. I don't know if I until Justin Wilcox says as much. I'm just gonna, you know, kind of shoo that one away, because the reality is that if you look at that time frame, it was very much in the Joey Harrington letter. I'm not going to bore you guys with that, but essentially, Oregon fans and the Oregon alum very much wanted somebody that was going to, you know, ride this thing out and kind of restore the continuity that we'd had through the Mark Helfrich years. I mean, that staff had stuck around before even, you know, Chip Kelly was there. We're talking Bellotti guys, you know, and so like a decade or more of continuity, and to just lose that all when, you know, Slick Willie came in and bailed for Florida State, you know, that did not sit well. And as Oregon fans, we just wanted somebody that wanted to be in Eugene, and we have found that with Dan. There is zero indication that he's interested in going anywhere else, and that's just we hit the jackpot, man. I cannot speak. Just in the first couple of weeks that he was doing the pressers and stuff, the fan base was just on fire, because you could tell, like, this is a man of high character, and he knows ball. And so, you know, it just everything that led us to Dan Lanning was, you know, as they say, blessed was the broken road kind of thing. And I was a Mario guy. I like Mario. He's had his woes in Miami and everything else, but I mean, he's, as far as I can tell, that consistency thing speaks volumes, especially as a young coach. That's a hard thing to do, to keep guys dialed in, these younger guys. We're talking guys that are plugged into social media and everything else. I'm fully expecting them to go in and absolutely destroy Cal. I'd be surprised if that doesn't happen.
I agree, based on what I saw last week.
So, yeah, that was a good one, Chris. I like that.
Have a good one.
All right.
Thanks, Mikey.
See you guys.
All right, gang. We got one more caller. We got Sean joining us. Sean, we got a couple minutes left here. What are your takes on the Pac-12 this week?
Not much. I'm trying to think of a drinking game during the Washington USC game that won't end with me in the hospital. Something. I mean, there is. I mean, is there going to be? Are there going to be more points or tackles in this game?
Nobody knows.
I don't know. I mean, thing is, I've seen Washington's defense play well at times. I've seen them actually make stops, and I haven't seen USC's offense rise to any occasion at all this season, really, ever. So
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. And I think Oregon State's offensive line against Colorado right there, Colorado's D line, that could be a war crime. Like that is,
it should be.
That is an absolute I think Oregon State's going to hold the ball for about 46 minutes or so in this game, and that will be a complete bludgeoning. The best game of the week, certainly UCLA, Arizona. There's a really, really good offensive tackle edge rusher matchup there. 2 first-round picks maybe with Jordan Morgan for Arizona and Latu from UCLA. So that's definitely a mini matchup to keep an eye on there. And, I mean, Arizona's they're riding a lot of momentum right now, and it seems like UCLA's kind of cooled off. I don't know right now. So
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, I don't know if you paid attention to the Big Ten schedule release.
I did.
Hey, are you coming back home next September?
September 21st, I'll be there.
Awesome.
Hail to Michigan. You're going down. The Trojans are coming to town.
Yeah. And Rick, I know you're a big microbrew guy. Check out Grizzly Peak Brewing when you're there. They don't distribute at all. It's an excellent brewing company, and you can only get it in it. Where's that?
What's the big outdoor bar with the jugs of sangria?
God, I'm trying to think. I don't know, to be honest with you.
16-year-old me really appreciated that they didn't card. So I feel like I'm going to have to go there out of respect and love.
I mean, I'm guessing that might not be around anymore because I'm not familiar.
I think it was last time I was there. I just don't remember what it's called. It's right over by like South Quad.
Okay.
It's right by Phi-Sci. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah. So no, lots to do in Ann Arbor though. It should be a fun.
Well, that and 18-year-old me appreciates that Campus Corner never carded. So Ann Arbor. High School Tony loved Ann Arbor. Thank you guys very much.
Tony, the town already has enough investigations right now. You don't need to help start another one.
Yeah, we're not going
to
see
FBI is going to have to open its own field office.
We're not going to see Stallion at the Coliseum, are we? Prepping for that September 21st game.
I mean, I imagine you would. I could imagine he planned on having some people at some of the. They might have gotten some intel on you guys already this year. Who knows?
Who needs intel? We don't tackle anyone. What information do you need?
But you guys do score, so
we do score. We score a lot, but we don't tackle anyone. So you're fine. Run the ball, throw the ball, whatever you want to do. It's fine. We're not going to stop you.
Awesome.
We're not probably going to try.
No,
I'm only half kidding.
it
Truth
should be
hurts.
fun.
We
guys.
laugh so we don't cry. That's what we
That's
do.
right. That's right.
It's all fun, anyways, right? I mean, this isn't life and death. So
It's all fun until Cal's about to beat you on a 2-point conversion in Berkeley. In a game delayed by protesters who were not protesting over geopolitical events, but on behalf of a professor who was arrested for stalking.
I'm going to miss this
Reportedly,
conference so
a
much. I'm
fellow
going to miss this
professor.
conference so much. I'm going to miss this
But
conference.
she's a good professor, so therefore we needed to seize the 50-yard line, which, by the way, USC couldn't seize the 50-yard line, but the Cal protesters could seize the 50-yard line in a protest on behalf of the professor who was repeatedly arrested for stalking another professor.
Now, what I was stunned by, it wasn't like there were like 200 people there. There were like what, like 10, like 15 students or something that delayed the game for almost an hour.
No, they delayed the game for like 5 minutes.
Oh, was it? I heard it was 50 minutes.
No,
We didn't
well,
even
you see,
talk about the-
they
Sorry,
really
go ahead,
missed
Danny.
a huge opportunity because the game was on the Pac-12 network, so no one saw their protest.
No, yeah.
I
Absolutely.
just realized we didn't even talk about did we ever talk about the other really Pac-12 thing of that game where we had an extra play in the second quarter after halftime?
See, that's the game where
Wait. So you had a scrimmage play and then a kickoff or something like that?
No, there was a
field goal attempt.
They said the half was over, and then Lincoln Riley like challenged it after the team said like already been at like in the
They went in
locker
the
room.
tunnel.
They reviewed it again. They decided SC had a second left, so they came out at the end of half. They came out the beginning of what would be the third quarter and had one play of the second quarter where SC kicked a field goal to end the first half after halftime. And then in like the funniest thing was Wilcox. So Wilcox, they have timeouts left over from the first half, and he calls a timeout to ice him. And I think it's more of just like a screw you timeout than it is like anything else. And so like that's funny to me on its own. And then what's even funnier is after the guy's been like practicing, because specialists come out early, right?
Yeah.
So the field goal kicker is taking the exact field goal,
from the exact spot on the field,
like a bunch of times before he goes out and kicks it. And then they call timeout, and then he misses the actual kick.
No, you know what, Chris? Actually, I don't think it was an FU. I mean, I think it was actually a really good move because, like you said, he was sitting there, he's repeatedly practicing, getting it down, right? And then he goes to kick it, and he says, "Hold on, timeout. Give me a little time to think about it." And he, in that a couple extra sections, got in his head, and he absolutely missed that kick.
See, that's the game where Wilcox would say, "We got robbed by the Pac-12 officials."
If there's anything I would like to get rid of in football forever, permanently, it is icing the kicker. I think.
Well, they got rid of. You can't double ice them anymore. So at least that's been removed because that's not for anyone, not for fans, not for kickers. That's for just to drive us crazy. They could have done two timeouts. So that gives them more commercials. So I don't know what about why they chose to do that, because every other rule they put in has so they could have more commercials and less game time.
Less game time. Yeah, that's
wow.
I'm just saying it would have been even funnier. Did USC get the ball to start the second half too? Does anyone know?
No,
I don't think. I think they got the ball.
That would have been something. Kick a field goal and then you get the ball right
You
after.
get the ball back too.
All right, guys.
Hey, thanks, Sean. Thanks for calling.
No problem.
Talk to you
Always a
soon.
pleasure.
Thanks,
Fight
Sean.
on.
Fight on. All right, guys. It's about that time. Any final thoughts heading into this week?
Nope. Just thanks everyone for hanging out, and go Bruins.
Yeah, agreed. Good games this weekend. I hope everyone gets through nice and healthy. So that I can't wait to play. I really, Chris, this could be a great game. Are you coming out for the UCLA game?
No, I will. I will be. Oh, no, it's the week before Thanksgiving, but no, I will be on the other side of the country still.
Oh.
Gearing up for that game next year when we play Rutgers, though.
That'll be fun.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope SC Washington's a great game, and check Tim, Tony, and myself on the USC postgame show like we do every week. Look forward to having you tune in, win or lose. We know you're going to tune in. So look forward to seeing you Saturday night.
Well, I have made it through this entire show without coughing, so I don't want to let my sick self break that tradition. So I will wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us. We're great to have you in the chat. Great to have you watching. Thanks to everybody who's made a comment today in the chat or down in the comments. We appreciate it. Please give the show a like really quick. I know it just takes a sec. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.